Ben Young took home first place in race 1 here in Edmonton, but will he be able to keep up that success on a wet track?
Welcome to RAD Torque Raceway in Edmonton, Alberta. Round 3 of the Bridgestone Canadian Superbike Championships for 2025. Up next, the GP Bikes Pro Superbike Final.
Yes, and yesterday night it started raining and it hasn't stopped. There you can see the new or revamped version of the bus stop chicane. And this whole area, when I first came to see the track before they built it, was basically a swamp, and it's turning back into one.
There's our winner from yesterday, Ben Young, as he makes his way to the grid. A shot of David McKay, his Honda teammate.
And there's those deep groove Bridgestone rain tires, and boy do they ever work well, and everybody has a lot of experience. This is our 3rd year with the Bridgestone, so they're a proven quantity. And there we can see Sam Garant, who not only got pole with a lap record, but also set a lap record while leading most of the race yesterday, which unfortunately did not lead to a victory.
Yeah, a tough break for him, but a good victory for Ben Young coming into the season, signing with Honda and a 2-year contract. I think that caught people a little bit off guard. We haven't seen that kind of thing in Canadian Superbike racing in some time.
And then we have Torrin Collins in the middle of row 2, but he's our Supersport points leader. There are 2 more Supersport races and 2 Superbike races, including this one. So a lot of the riders are probably going to sit this one out, hoping for drier conditions in the afternoon, because it has been very difficult. We had a wet warm-up. Warm-up is not probably a good term for what happened, but the track was very slippery with a lot of deep puddles.
Well, speaking of the track there, we have an overhead view of it, and the riders now heading out for their warm-up lap, but we're going to take a moment and head down and talk to Sarah Sed.
Thanks. It's wet out here, but the rivalry between Ben Young and Alex Dumas continues in round 3 of the championship here in Edmonton. In race 1, we saw a thrilling last lap battle between the two and Samuel Garant. Though Young finished on top, claiming his first win of the year, which was by just 0.080 seconds, Garant was in the lead for the majority of the race at RAD Torque Raceway. Garant would pace the first 17 laps of the 20-lap feature race and set yet another new lap record. Garant says he believes he pushed too much early on and feels as though his tires had less grip at the end of the race, which caused him to make a few mistakes. Still, he says it felt good to lead for so many laps. Back to you.
Yesterday here at RAD Torque Raceway, we ran a 20-lap national championship race. Today's race will be 16 laps, and now we get ready for the Power Sports TO starting lights. The lights on will hold the riders in place. The lights off will send them off, and the lights are now off, and we have a launch there, and it looks like a very good start for Alex Dumas. However, it is Samuel Garant who takes the lead, and Jordan Szoke is snuck right into 3rd spot right off the bat.
And we're missing about half the field, and the man who struggled on the start, who was so impressive yesterday, was Ben Young. He was making up time yesterday. Now he's in 4th, which, given his situation in contention in points, is not a good start for Ben Young.
Philip de Gama Blanchette was the last rider to pull up on the starting line there. I'm not sure why he was a little tardy coming out, but we have yet to catch sight of him.
Got to mention David McKay, who had a terrible start. He's way back, and I think a lot of us wondered if this might be a good opportunity for him to make that next big step. He is very good in the rain, but he's been having electronic issues with his Honda, and I wonder if that was a function of his bad start.
Sammy sure as hell didn't get a bad start, as he has a huge lead thus far, and I'm sure, Colin, that he is very inspired by what happened here yesterday. He doesn't want that to transpire again.
Let's talk about Slam and Sammy. We had a warm-up this morning. It was fairly long. Most of the riders have never been on this track in the rain.
Wow,
look at the deep puddles there, and Sam went out as if he was trying to win a race that had to be won on the first lap, and initially he was 4 seconds a lap faster than anyone else. Now eventually Szoke and Young got pretty close, but Garant was just on fire. Oh no, somebody down into the softer barrier there in the carousel.
Oh, tough break for McGowan, one of the local riders. on the 115 machine, but fortunately he's up and okay, and the soft barriers have done their job.
Yeah, and where they're positioned in the carousel is the ideal situation there because of the camber of the road. There isn't a lot of room if something goes wrong. But anyway, what I was talking about is Garant was just flying in the warm-up and setting a torrid pace, riding very, very aggressively and using all the electronics on that BMW, and everybody was commenting on how aggressive he was. And what's great is he's just gone right back out and done it all over again. And everybody else was feeling their way around, looking at where the puddles were and trying to have a measured approach. But watch here, Garant is pushing hard.
This must be a humbling experience for the three riders who are at least able to keep him in sight for most of the lap. But he demolished the rest of the field.
I think based on what we saw in the warm-up, a lot of people might have thought Jordan Szoke would be the guy to beat here. But that pace, almost 4 seconds in that shorter period of time, just shows you how fast Garant is going. And now you get a good idea. This is just like standing in the spray of a garden hose, and you've got 2 garden hoses in front of you. One of them is second place, one of them is third place, and that's where it's almost the worst. There you can see the bike in the softer barrier as we go through the carousel. And Szoke is starting to put some pressure on Dumas because he probably doesn't like getting wet.
There is no one more hungry for a race win in Bridgestone CSBK than Jordan Szoke. And running back, admittedly, in third spot right now. Chances of catching Garant, looking at it at this point in the race, pretty slim.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's got Garant on the mind because he's practically out of the shot. Now, when you look up ahead, you can't see him. And the person's got to be struggling is Ben Young.
Sam Garant in the lead as Szoke battles with this man, Alex Dumas. Portions of the Bridgestone Canadian Superbike Championships are brought to you in part by GP Bikes, Importation Thibault, and EBC Brakes and Clutches. Closed captioning of the Bridgestone Canadian Superbike Championships are brought to you by Canadian Kawasaki Motors, AIM Insurance, and Revs for Rhett. We are in the closing stages now of lap 2, and Colin, I can't believe it, Samuel Garant has a 5.5 second lead.
Well, Ben Young wouldn't be surprised to have Jordan Szoke and Alex Dumas right in front of him. What he would be surprised is, as Garant is so far out, there are lots of races where the margin of victory has not got to 5.5 seconds. So that just tells you just how aggressive Garant's been, and that they can't see him is the really disturbing part.
I was going to say that it's unfortunate because Sam Garant's not getting much TV time.
If you look at that board on the bottom right that shows us what the points would look like if the race finished now, we'd have a tie atop the championship, and Garant would have fought his way back in after those 2 bad efforts at the opening Shannonville round.
Well, Szoke's showing, and he's on the move. Definitely Jordan Szoke is on the move. We're on board right now with Dumas, and he has been bested by that Kawasaki. Jordan Szoke, the people's champion, has moved up one more, but he's not getting away very far.
And as Garant stalls away in the lead, we go to the powerboat race for second, and there is so much spray coming off these big Bridgestone grooved rain tires, and Szoke just decides to go for it. There isn't really an open door, but Dumas is a pretty consistent guy, and you can see Dumas not used to the spray, right?
Yeah,
he hasn't had to deal with it because Garant's been pulling clear. And right here, it doesn't look like Szoke's anywhere close enough, and he kind of squeezes it in there. And Young, of course, is thinking, this is perfect because I need a couple of spots. This would be a nice solution to my current problem. And we know Young tends to come on as the race progresses, but being in 4th as the points leader is not where you want to be.
Well, the other thing is, too, Ben Young has had tons of experience in the rain.
Are you saying that because he's from the UK, Frank?
But
also, not just he's raced lots in the UK and in Canada, but also, I believe his podium in Moto America was in the rain.
Quite so. Absolutely correct. On board right now with Ben Young. We're chasing Dumas and Szoke. That last shot around the spray, there you saw it perfectly. The spray comes up and hits him directly in the face shield, and that was happening to Dumas in the last lap as Szoke was roosting him.
Yeah, and you could say in almost every corner there's a specific puddle that they have to work around, but at that bus stop where we were watching that on board that you were discussing, there's no way to avoid the water. You're going to have to drive through some deep puddles, and the crews are having to figure out how to keep the bikes dry, and of course with electronics being so important, you can imagine what it's like plugging everything in a wet setup for these bikes with the wiring and the cables and all of that stuff, and just the amount of water just coming out everywhere, like every part of the bike track is wet. However, the bikes run cooler. They don't mind the water.
But do the riders have to change their riding line, Colin?
Oh yeah, a lot, and some of them make some big changes, not just with their helmets and their visors, but also some of the guys run a taller knee slider so they don't lean over as far before their knees drag on the ground, and sometimes they wear rain suits, although these guys, none of these guys are, so they're quite wet at this point.
Yeah, you quite often would see in past rain races that we've seen to have a plastic cover over the rain suit that fits very, very tight. My God, look at the spray coming off. Visibility very, very poor. 7 seconds down is Jordan Szoke from our race leader, Samuel
There's the
Garant.
move.
Oh, right on the inside. Braveheart puts it in there. Does it work? Not quite, as Alex responds in turn.
And Dumas probably saw that, so he knows what's coming. But you've got to mention that the situation here with these three, watching them, this is a great race. They're really close. They're pushing hard. They're squirming around on those Bridgestone rain tires. Look at that deep puddle on the inside of the carousel. But, well, these guys look as good as they do in these conditions. Remember, there's someone in front picking up at least a couple of seconds a lap.
And running away with it, so he is. The traction they're getting, though, with these rain tires is very, very impressive. I mean, we've only seen one crash in the Superbike class on these new Bridgestone race tires.
And got to mention that the last time somebody ran away with a race in the rain was probably Jordan Szoke, and it was a long time ago. So you know, that Szoke is second is not at all a surprise, and he's in very, very good company. But what's shocking is that Garant has just been hammered down and really relentless in his desire to win this one by a mile.
We've never seen a beat up like this as Samuel is leading on these guys. Jordan Szoke solidly in second. We'll be right back. There's our race leader, Samuel Garant. Jordan Szoke running in second spot, Alex Dumas holding on to third, Ben Young solidly in fourth spot, and Laurent Liberté-Girard on the 57 bike holding on to fifth spot. Colin?
Yeah, and we're in a situation where I think that Slam and Sammy, our leader, has eased the pace a little bit. There you can see the halfway marker. So Szoke can see him now. So he has a rabbit to chase, but the rabbit's pretty far away. Now the rabbit has a full belly, but nonetheless, got to also mention that fifth place LLG, he is the top Yamaha, and he's on a Yamaha YZF R6 600, and he is committed to running all the Super Sport and all the Superbike races, and has shown very well, and also did great at Shubenacadie almost a month ago. So what a good effort for him, and making the most of those rain tires, and of course a 600 is not disadvantaged to the same degree as he would be in the dry.
He takes great pride, incidentally, Colin, in the fact that R6 that he's racing has never been apart.
Looking at the bottom right of our screen, and that's the standings if this race were to finish now. And basically, Garant would have climbed right back into contention with one more race today and then 2 races at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park at the start of August. So this success, if indeed Garant can hang on at the pace he's going, will be crucial to his championship effort. And look at this, Phil de Gamma Blanchette under pressure from second place Jordan Szoke.
Szoke catches up to and passes our lapper, de Gamma Blanchette, and also Dumas was able to get by cleanly as well. I thought Dumas might make a stab and try to get past Szoke. Just before this race, we had a chance to sit down and talk with Szoke.
I guess I'm a little torn on the, oh, Jordan's having a comeback, or Jordan's, oh, he's fast again, or whatever, you know, people want to say. I don't think, I think obviously I had some injuries and I had to recover, and then I got really, really sick. That was the biggest thing, is the sickness. Obviously it's hard for me to ride the bike with my injuries still, but it's not painful, it's just I don't have that mobility. So I have to, like Alex makes fun of me that my whole leg shifts when I go to shift gears, right? So I've never felt though that my skill was gone and I needed to make a comeback. And this is nothing against Kawasaki, because I'm very thankful for Kawasaki and I'm very happy for Kawasaki support, and I think it's a great motorcycle. I think under our rules, we weren't competitive. Now our rules have changed to allow us to run some actual electronics. Now we're kind of competitive again. So I feel like, I know I'm older and you can't have it forever, but I still feel like I'm competitive as ever.
2 follow-up points. One is that Jordan is the master of the electronics. He does the programming there. And also one of his best friends, Josh Hayes, a racer in the States, 50 years old and still winning for Yamaha. So there's room on the ramp still for Jordan Szoke.
Garant slowing up the pace a bit and keeping the bike straight, of course. Very wisely doing that and hoping to bring this thing home with yet another victory.
And we could safely say that Dumas' traction control is working pretty well, because we saw a wheelie and then a little squirming under acceleration. And I can guarantee you right now, Ben Young's trying to figure out, is there some way to get onto the box? Because Ben Young in fourth is not what we expect, and he is concerned more than anyone here about points. You could argue that the guy doing the best job in terms of points is Garant. Is just going all out and getting the most points possible is the best way to do it.
Honda fans, Ben Young fans will be looking for some Braveheart magic late in this race. We've seen it happen before where he has fought his way back up. And again, we talked about his experiences in rainy conditions, so I wouldn't count him out of this, not by a long shot.
And Ben Young looking to stretch a streak 23 straight times on the podium, including several rain races. So Ben Young is Mr. Consistent when it comes to putting in the performance, and we'll be right back from RAD Torque Raceway in Edmonton, Alberta.
Portions of the Bridgestone Canadian Superbike Championships are brought to you in part by GP Bikes, Importation Thibault, and EBC Brakes and Clutches. Working lap 13 of 16, Colin. It stopped raining. That's a good news. But there is still standing water on the racetrack.
Yeah, so the pace has picked up and the riders are a little more comfortable. And of course, they ride into their comfort zone. If the track seems a bit drier, you ride a little harder. There you can see Garant well into the traction control on that BMW, spinning the tire. And then we look back for Jordan, who's definitely closer than he has been. And I would say pulling away a little bit from Dumas. And right now, Jordan isn't the fastest, but his times are coming down rapidly, and I think it's important to reference that he can see up ahead.
That's a key thing for sure. Now he has a target, and Jordan will be going after it for sure. Has he got enough time, though? Has he got enough laps to get the job done?
Well, normally I would say there's some hope when there's traffic, but there's so few bikes on the track right now, and they're spread all over the place, so you're not going to hit clumps of riders that could work to Szoke's advantage. So Jordan's hammer down. Gotta be full of admiration for how well he's ridden here. And look at that, him weaving between the puddles. He, at this point, of course, really knows where he wants to go. And there you can see Garant heading into the west end, the faster flowing end of the track, and then Szoke and his party of two joining that battle as we head into the west part, the flowing part of the track.
Give me some insight here. Will Garant be getting pit signals indicating that Jordan is gaining?
Now he will, because it's been 2 or 3 laps that Garant has chosen to slow down, and I would say that Garant is comfortable giving up some time. But one of the problems, Frank, is that the easiest way to slow down is just to rev the bike a little more easily, not use so many RPM, but try and ride in the corners just as hard. But when it's slippery like this, when you've probably had a whole bunch of close calls and dramatic moments, the temptation is to slow down in the turns, and that's how you really can screw up your concentration.
I'm hesitant to say this, Colin, but I believe that Ben Young is getting comfortable in fourth. That's not particularly good.
Well, comfortable in fourth and Ben Young, that's a sentence I haven't heard before, and not good news for the Ben Young fans out there, because Ben is such a relentless charger, and normally at this point in the race, I always reference that if he's within a second and a half, then he's going to try and do something. He is not within a second and a half of Szoke, let alone Garant, and unless something terrible happens, Sam Garant has won this one fair and square by just outriding everybody.
Yeah, well, let's not cause any problems by saying anything too early. You know how that can sometimes snap at you.
Yeah, easy for me to say. I'm not getting soaking wet the way that this fella is, but boy, he looks great. There you can see him using his slightly different, but for now him, traditional type lines, and we saw this to good effect at Shuby. And of course, last year at Shuby, on mixed conditions with mixed tires, Garant scored a really impressive win, maybe the best win he's had until this season, and this could be his third win this year out of not that many races.
Well, quite so. He's working lap 15 of 16, so the next time around he will get that white flag. He'll be the first one to see it, and he's hoping to be the first one to see the checkered flag as well. We're not counting any chickens, are we?
And if you wondered about the bike up ahead, that's Phil de Gamma Blanchette on that Mott Machining Honda. Oh, no, sorry, that's David McKay on his Honda. So now we're getting into the situation where I think this will be the the second time he's lapped McKay. And more than anything, unfortunately, this is an indication that McKay is just having a terrible time. And there he slowed down to let Garant go by, which is a really gentlemanly thing to do. And you know, for a guy who maybe would have had a shot at winning this if the situation technically was better for McKay with that Honda, it's unfortunately the Snow City-backed rider has had these problems.
David McKay is a great motorcycle racer. We've seen him take the Sport Bike Championship here in Canada and working his craft in the Superbike class, and he's getting better each and every year.
And every time we go to the onboard, up until now, Frank, it's been just water flying all over the place from multiple sources. Now you can see the air passing by has dried out the lens, and it's a nice clear shot. So it shows you that now that it has stopped raining, the only concern is the spray coming off the tires. Of course, these tires are designed to clear the water, and they throw up a ton of water.
Yeah, and they're definitely getting some gription too, I'll say that for them. Samuel Garant continues to enjoy this lead as he brings it down for the last few corners of this racetrack. A possibility of his third race win on the year, and that would be huge redemption again for the miserable start he had to this season back at the start of the season at Shannonville. Out of the back end of it, the racetrack now, and onto the straightaway, and he has Philip DeGavin. Checkered flag is out. Samuel Garant has won. There comes Jordan Szoke, not very far behind, and Alex Dumas, then Ben Young, and again Ben Young did not close up any distance in the last few laps, so he did look comfortable, Colin, and that's unfortunate, but he will gather some points.
So have a look at this shot. These are the 4 best racers in Canada, and that's a lot of championships. Garant doesn't have any of them, but the other 3 have remarkable success, and Sam Garant has worked his way back into the conversation that he could finally win a championship in Superbike or our premier #1 category.
That was a great race, Colin. Let's have a look at the final results.
Yeah, the top 4 got away. Then we see Laurent La Liberté Girard doing very, very well in that 600cc Yamaha. Phil de Gama Blanchette almost got lapped for the second time, but he wound up with 6th. David McKay works his way through 7th, and you know he's going to be frustrated with that. Very small field here in a very rain-interrupted event.
Congratulations on the win, Sam. How does it feel?
Thank you, Sarah. It feels really good. We needed this one, and this morning when I woke up and I saw the rain, I was more than happy. So yeah, I think we had some points back on the championship because I think Jordan finished 2nd, so it's really good for us. I wish that the next one will be rain too, but we'll see with the forecast what happens. Thank you to all our sponsors, BMW, EFC, Roulotte, United Rental, KSA Lawyers, Ellipse Insurance, Bridgestone Tires, 26 Suspension, all the fans that are here. It's an awesome day.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Colin, look at our point standings. You know, the top 4, any one of them could end up winning this championship at the end of the year.
Yeah, we have one more race here in Edmonton, then 2 more races at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. So that's 75 potential points, and this is going to come down to the wire. And every time we have a race, it just seems to tighten up the standings. And you've got to mention Garant has climbed right back into contention. Remarkable effort with several fantastic rides this year.
Yeah, and that has contributed, no doubt, to BMW's top of the leaderboard in the Constructors' Championship. There's our podium with Samuel Garant, big smile, and Jordan Szoke equally happy alongside. Thanks so much for being with us, race fans. We'll see you next time.